Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. And we are officially in the last 2 days of 2022. And I'm so happy to have a guest who I'm really excited to talk to. And this is going to be the last episode of the Author Collaborative for this year. Uh, I am excited because I have read her book, and the female lead in her book reminded me so much of my own female protagonist, and her way of writing is very similar to mine. And I'm excited to talk to her and learn about her style of writing and how she goes about writing and promoting her books. So stay tuned. This is going to be a really exciting episode. Oh, she's here. Let me just invite her so we can begin today's live. Hey, hi Rucha. Welcome.
Hi. Hi. So glad to be here. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are. Uh,
Great.
from the viewers, just tell us with a thumbs up if you are able to hear us properly.
Yeah, I am. I am.
Uh, okay, so welcome, Rucha, to the Author Collaborative. I was just telling the audience that I'm really excited to do the last episode of this year with you, with an author whose book I have enjoyed so much. And the
Thank you
female
so
protagonist of your book, she reminded me so much of the characters that I write myself, or the female leads that I have in my stories. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to talk to you. Before we go ahead with the book in focus that we have, can you just hold up the book for us and tell us the title of the book?
Yeah, this is the book. It's called Dreaming Among the Pages. So I designed this cover myself using Canva. So this is the book cafe that Agni is running. Not sure you can see everything. These are her four dogs that she absolutely adores, and this is technically Rhythm Lane, where the story is set. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very beautiful and appealing cover. So, congratulations, firstly, on designing such a beautiful cover yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So glad to know that.
I have a couple of questions, but before I do that, I want you to read out a few passages from the book so that people have an idea of what we are getting into.
Yeah, definitely. So before I read, I'll just set some context. So Avni, her father and her brother set up this bookstore years ago, and she always wanted to convert their bookstore into a book cafe. That was her dream growing up, but she lost her father and brother just a couple of years ago, and finally, she decides to convert her bookstore into a book cafe. And the paragraph that I'm reading is the opening day of Among the Pages Book Cafe. So she's just opening the door for the first time. That's the opening day.
Before
So
you start, just a minute. You have a lot of compliments coming it from the viewers. We have Shilpa saying wow, and we have someone else saying such a beautiful cover. So,
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, that makes my day because I spent so much time creating that cover. I had so many different design. I had the concept in mind, but it took a while to finally create what I have created. And let me tell you, the book cafe that I have created, I created with joining bunch of rectangles. So that was a tedious
wow.
task, but I'm really happy that it turned out to be what it is. So yeah,
Wow.
I'm very glad people are enjoying the cover, and I'm sure the book as well.
Uh,
Yeah. So this
yeah.
is. Sorry, please continue.
We have one more comment. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but somebody else has also said, I want to open a book cafe someday too.
Yeah, me too. I wish I could. Me too. That's why. But you'll enjoy. The comment is from She Reads. Yeah, so you'll enjoy Among the Pages Book Cafe. Definitely, Avni has great collection of books, and she brews amazing tea. I call it chai, and she has some great menu card. Let me quickly show that as well, if I may. Uh, yeah, so I've created a menu card specifically for the book, and you'll find bunch of beverages and amazing food that Avni serves. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And I'm reading a paragraph from the second chapter, which is the opening day of Among the Pages Book Cafe, and Avni is just opening it for the first time. Yeah. As we reached the store, the new calligraphic sign of Among the Pages Book Cafe shone like sunshine. I walked to the door and brushed my fingers over the closed sign. Turning it over to open flooded my heart with immense hope. This is it. I fished out a bunch of keys from my bag and unlocked the main door. It clicked and I felt a solid blend of anxiety and excitement. I pushed the door wide open to let my family in. When I walked across the room to open the back door, all my four dogs immediately bolted towards the garden. Leaning against the door frame, I looked around myself. Fairy lights outlining the classic walnut colored bookshelves twinkled with joy. Fictional figures complemented the books on shelves. The fragrance of book was dancing inside the cafe over the light breeze. Everything was exactly the way I wanted. I'm grateful that Baba decided to buy the entire house rather than a small store because nothing is big enough to store the books, not even the entire world.
Yes, I remember this particular phrase because I have highlighted it and I have also put it under quotable quotes in my review.
Yeah.
Wonderful,
No,
and it really sets the mood for the rest of the book. You are kind of excited to know more about the cafe and what Avni has planned for its functioning, and really the entire
that,
process is so organically written. I must commend you on that also. कि ऐसा नहीं बताया कि overnight success हो गया. We are shown the process very organically and how she does it step by step. So that's again wonderful.
yeah, I wanted to keep it very Yeah, I wanted to keep it very simple, not too many conflicts, realistic conflicts, because these kinds of things happen in every other house
Yes.
and in every person's life, be whatever they are doing in their lives. So I made sure small bits she had, small setbacks, but she came out of it. So I kept it simple, and eventually I led the story towards the conflict resolution in the last chapter and the epilogue. So yeah.
Great. So, Rucha, I have a few questions for you related to the book and, of course, your writing journey. Are you ready to answer those?
Yeah, before that, I was wondering if you would love to read a poem from your book because that I've read couple of I've had some favorites from your book. So I was wondering, have you read Give and Take before on any of your lives? If not, that is a lovely poem too. I would love to hear it.
No, I don't think I have read that one. Before we
Oh,
go into the reading, I just want to show the cover to everyone. This is the book I'm
yeah.
reading from. It's called Mindful Musings and Peaceful Ponderings, and it's a collection of 50 poems. Rucha has very kindly read it, reviewed it, and
Yeah.
she has reviewed it very nicely. She has loved the book, so maybe you should also check it out.
Some poems are so deep I couldn't I have saved some of them. The Great Fall is amazing. I was struck by it the way you have written it. It's such a small poem but it has such a deep impact. And Give and Take is my recommendation, or some are like that. Whichever you prefer, I would love to hear it.
Let's go with Give and Take. I don't think I have read that ever. So,
Yeah.
okay. So this one is titled Give and Take. Most believe, some don't. Most get it, others crave for it. Each with their own definition, each with their experience, each with their own expectations. Some happy with what they have, many wanting more than what comes their way. The one feeling that binds us all. Why is it limited to a couple? Is it not the same with family, friends, and everyone we care about? Is it not love when we choose someone else before us, even if not our better half or our significant other? Then why this question on everyone's mind about to love or not to love? Why can we not choose to follow the popular mantra of give and take for something we all crave for the most?
That is amazing. That poem is absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you liked it because that was one of the poems that I had in my repository. It was not specifically written for this book and it matched with the theme. So I was like, let's use it. And it makes me
Yeah.
happy that, it blended well and it connected with you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yes. So my first question to you, Rucha, is you are somebody like me who has, made the plunge from the corporate life to the creative life.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how this change came about and what has been your learning in this change so far? And also, of course, share a few tips with those who are thinking about this, making the career change.
Yeah, definitely. So, I always wanted to become a writer since I was in school. I used to write in Marathi majority of the times in my school, but I never actually thought I'll actually pursue a career as a writer this soon. I completed my computer engineering and then I joined my job. And I remember 2 months into job, I remember thinking this is not I want to do. Uh, so for the first few months I was only thinking about how I can get out of it and what would be the next step, because to become a content writer, being able to write is not enough. You have to know so many other things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, when I was for sure ready to pursue my career as a writer, I left my job, I flew back home, and the first thing I did was changing my LinkedIn profile from software engineer to content writer. Even though I did not have any previous experience, I had no work to showcase on my profile, I just did it. And God bless LinkedIn, I got so many clients from LinkedIn. So the moment I changed my profile, within a month, I had my first client. And for the first year and a half, I would say I uh, took out all the opportunities that I could get. So I wrote in multiple niches, be it skincare, beauty, home decor, whatever came my way. I wrote about it. But then I realized I needed to set a specific procedure because this was very new for me. I had not done anything like that before. So I did some courses on Udemy or YouTube. There's bunch of courses available online. So I made sure I
Hmm.
gained new skill set required to be a content writer, a copywriter. I followed so many great content creators on Instagram. They share some amazing tips that you can try out. And so top three things that worked out for me were changing my LinkedIn profile and being active on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
constantly learning new skills through various courses on YouTube, and following all these content creators to be aware of the industry trends that are going on, just so you can incorporate that in the content, whatever niche you're writing in. So I would say, I wouldn't lie, it was terrifying for a brief amount of time when I was trying to figure everything out. But once I set a system for myself, it just everything fell into a place. And right now I'm very confident and comfortable with what I'm doing. And I'm very happy that I left my job 2 years ago, within 2 to 3 months, I would say, just to pursue my dream. And being able to do what I actually love is a great privilege. So yeah, if I had to give a tip, I would definitely say rely on LinkedIn. That's a great platform to start whatever new you're about to start.
That is such, so you have given advice with such clarity. I'm sure those who have heard it have found it really useful. So thank you for sharing that and being so honest with us. Yes,
Yeah,
LinkedIn does work very well. I also vouch for
yeah,
that because I have also in the past years, few years, got a lot of work and projects through LinkedIn. So that really
yeah,
works. And about the
yeah,
upskilling, that's also very important because
yeah,
if you are getting into the field and you know absolutely nothing about it, it's important to make yourself familiar with what goes on in that field. And the
yes,
third thing about following the content creators, yes,
yes,
I have also always maintained that if you are going into a field where you want to succeed, you have to follow the people who have already learned something from the field and they can share
definitely.
those things with you. So wonderful
Yeah,
advice, thank you, Rucha. Which brings
yeah,
me to my next question.
yeah,
Since we are both doing content creation as well as book writing and publishing, I know it out of experience that book writing and book selling are two completely different areas.
yeah.
Sometimes I feel like book writing is easier than book selling. So tell me about that. How have you been able to go about that?
Yeah, so when I was writing my first book, so I am not someone who outlines a book. I only create a few pointers, bullet pointers, just to have a clarity of the story that I am going forward with. And I used to think editing is the most difficult and tedious part of writing process. That's what I used to think until I published my book, and then I realized the actual task comes after you publish the book, because writing and editing, everything that comes before publishing is much easier. You can somehow get through it. But after publishing a book, being an indie author, you don't have any agent or a big publishing house to do all these things for you. It is you only who's doing all these things. So initially, I struggled a bit. So I'll tell the story. So when I wrote "What does your dad do?", it was during lockdown. So
Hmm.
I published it on my father's birthday, but unfortunately during those days, Amazon and Flipkart deliveries were shut in India.
Right.
So many of my readers wanted a hard copy and they couldn't order it from Amazon and Flipkart.
Hmm.
Even though ebook option was there, but many readers want to hold hard copy in their hands. So that was during those time I realized that this is something that could go wrong any moment.
Hmm.
But fortunately, when I published Dreaming Among the Pages, I realized three things that a couple of things that I would share are important to sell your book. First is having both ebook and paper hard copy of your book available for readers to purchase, because even though ebook is dominating the world, there are still so many readers who want to hold the paperback in their hand, to
Hmm.
smell the fragrance of those pages, to display that book in their bookshelf. So you absolutely have to have both the versions of your book.
Hmm.
I would say having an audiobook is also a plus point, but that could be a tedious task for indie authors. Secondly, I realized having your book enrolled in Kindle Unlimited subscription is another great point,
Hmm.
because now so many readers have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. It is much easier for them to just borrow your book, read it, and decide if this is what they are going to enjoy or not. Otherwise, they can just return it. It is
Yeah.
much easier for them and for authors as well. So that is one thing. And third thing is you have to talk about your book constantly.
Yes.
So yeah, so when I published "What Does Your Dad Do?", I felt very uncomfortable telling people, I'm an author, I have a book on Amazon, do check out. And I felt that is not something I want to do, right? But you have to do it. So after I publish Dreaming Among the Pages, I'm constantly showcasing my work on social media. I'm posting about my book in the most authentic way I can. So I'm creating reels, I'm posting it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever I can.
Hmm.
Having a Goodreads BookBub account is another great way to reach more readers. So even if you have having a book on Goodreads is only half a battle win. You have to optimize your profile and everything.
Hmm.
So I would say I'm experimenting with all these things. I wouldn't say I have reached that phase where I would say, yes, I've sold so many books, because it's a process.
Hmm.
And after you publish a book, it is just a continuous process of getting the word out about all your books as an indie author, I would say. And fortunately, we are blessed with so many self-publishing platforms and marketing tools. It is quite comfortable to go out there and upload about your book, talk about your book online. So yeah, all these things collectively, even if not today, not tomorrow, in a long way, will definitely help.
Yes, it's a process.
Yeah.
I love that you said that it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to keep
Yeah,
working towards, achieving that goal. So, yes, thank you for that.
definitely.
Both wonderful
Yeah.
advice. I mean, both the questions. Thank you. And now I am done with my questions for you, and you have answered them wonderfully. I leave the
Yeah.
floor open to you. You have a lot of people sending in hearts, and Shilpa has said that hard copies are all-time favorite. So you have
Yeah.
somebody who's a lover of hard copies.
Thank you so much. Yeah, glad to know that even though I'm an ebook person, I understand how different it feels to hold a hard copy in your hands. if I had a entire place to myself, I'll probably fill it with books and create my own library. But right now, the only way I can not fill my entire house with books is by reading ebooks. So yeah, I definitely can relate. Yeah, so I have Manali. So before I ask you a question, I'll set a context why I'm asking you this question, because I'm sure so many indie authors will someday, right now or later on, watch this live. So creating an outline, even though you have a story in your mind,
Hmm.
going ahead and writing it is a whole different process, right? So
Yes.
uh, creating an outline is a different process for everyone. Like I said, I don't create outline at all. I only have bullet points that
Yes.
direct me ahead. But when I actually write, it is a chaotic mess. I write whatever comes to my mind, and by the time I have my story finished, I realize there's so much editing I need to do. So my question to you is, how do you outline or structure your book? How do you make sure that the first draft, even though the first draft will not be the perfect one, but how do you make sure you have it nearly perfect to make the editing process easier?
Hmm. I am so glad that you added that last part, that editing becomes easier later on, which is very important to
Hmm.
understand why an outline is important, especially for somebody like me. Uh, I,
Hmm.
my personality type is someone who likes to have a plan. I am a disciplined person when it comes to my writing. So for somebody
Hmm.
like me, it's very important to have an outline, not just in your head. It's very important to have it written somewhere, because it will go away from your head. How much ever you tell yourself that मुझे याद रहेगा, it's not going to happen. So, uh, with novels, I'm going to specifically talk about my novels first. I have written one, and I am working right now on my second novel. So I'm going to talk about my novel writing process. With novels, what I do is I write out the characters. Whatever the main characters are, two or three. In my first novel, I had three main characters. In my second novel, I have two main characters. So what I do is I take out a page in my notepad, and I write one page of each character, and I list down their characteristics and their likes and dislikes, their personality traits, what they look like, yeah, what they look like, what their likes and dislikes are, and who are the people they are closest to. That makes it clear in my mind, and the character becomes suddenly authentic in my mind. I think that yes, they exist, which is very
Yeah.
important for yourself also to believe कि हाँ ये exist करता है. Even though it's fictional, you have to put it in your head, no, they exist somewhere. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do is I write out a chapter by summary of whatever I have in mind. Outline तो मुझे पता है.
Hmm.
देखो, I am such a person that, especially with a novel, I know that the ending has to be clear. For both my novels, I had my endings clear from the very beginning. For my second novel,
Hmm.
also, I know what is going to happen in the end. For some people, it's a different thing. So there's a plotter and a panster, for people who don't know. A plotter is
Hmm.
somebody who has a clear mind, and a panster is somebody who goes with the flow. They write as the plot comes to them. I'm a plotter when it comes to novel writing. So I have that ending clear. And after that, it becomes easy for me to write it out in a way where, I only have to justify how it came to that end. So that's why
Hmm.
I go chapter wise. I write the chapter wise summary, or, a short outline of that chapter in before starting that chapter. Then I go chapter wise, and then elaborate on that outline, justifying how this character did this particular thing, why they made these choices, and how it ultimately led to what they are going to do in the following chapters. So
Hmm.
that's how I go with the novel writing. uh, Other than novels, I have also written two short story books and two poetry books. I'm going to go with
Hmm.
short stories now, which is completely different from my novel writing process. When it comes to short stories, I am a pantser. Though I have the
Yeah.
blurb and the outline in my mind, with short stories, I go with the flow. And that has
Hmm.
helped me a lot, because with short stories, you have that much freedom. Even though,
Hmm.
there's a restriction of words and pages, you have that freedom to make the characters do and go with the spontaneity of your thoughts.
Hmm.
In a novel,
Yeah.
I believe you become restricted in that manner. You cannot have the characters doing this and that everything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
with short stories, I write the blurb, and then I go and I just go with the flow. And with short stories, I don't do that, character writing and the likes and dislikes. And, there's no
Yeah.
need to. Basically, there is no need to, because you only have that much space to put in that much content. So even if you are not
Yeah.
going into very much detail in short stories, it's all right. And then comes poetry. Uh, with poetry books, I have learned it the hard way that, it's better to have a theme based poetry book. You cannot be all over the place. My
Mm.
debut book was a poetry book, and it lacked a theme. It had poems of various subjects and, touching upon various things. And uh, after, I have always been a lover of poetry, and I have always read poetry books growing up. But it is only when you set out to do it yourself you understand that, there are some things that work and some things that don't work. And
Yeah.
that the book did really well, and it's still doing well. But I focused on the negative reviews and the, critical feedback that came back with the book.
Mhm.
Most of them
Mhm.
were saying that, the book was confusing for them because it didn't have one subject. It was touching upon various subjects. And
Mm.
when I began indie publishing, I started reading more of contemporary poets, and, those not set in the 80s, 70s, or 90s. I read the
Mm.
poets who came out after the 2000s or early 2000s, and
Yeah.
they were all focusing on a particular theme when they were writing poetry books, which made me realize
Yeah.
that if I have a theme, the book will probably. I'm not talking about success here. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the number of books selling. I'm talking about
Mm.
how much people will like it.
Yeah.
Whoever is reading, even if 50 people are reading it, out of them, 45 people should come back and tell me, ki, haan, this poetry book resonated with me, or this particular poem resonated with me. So with poetry books, I focus on themes. So that's the kind of process I go with.
Yeah, that's those are lovely tips because for the first book I had like you said chapter wise some sort of notes, right, for yourselves to put
Yeah,
construct a chapter out of it. But for Dreaming Among the Pages, I only knew the direction, but I didn't outline. And I would say I would prefer at least some sort of outline because it becomes very chaotic and the editing process becomes very tedious. So even if I wouldn't say I'm a plotter, but I don't want to be completely out of sync. So for the second book that I'm writing, I'm going with the flow, and I would take your advice and create chapter wise notes for myself, so I'll be able to construct chapter without losing my mind. Yeah, those are great tips. So second question from me is, just say, yeah. So like I said, writing and publishing until you publish those, everything is, even though seems difficult, is easier than actually publishing and then what comes next. So what would you say are some of the most important things that author needs to consider before publishing their book? Now everything is done, manuscript is ready, cover is ready, everything is ready. They're about to publish it. What are the few things that you would suggest everyone should check before publishing?
I'm only going to give one advice here. Rest of the things you are going to learn as you go, and once you enter the field, how to go with the promotions and everything. That is easily doable and learnable as you enter the community. Uh, but the
Yeah.
one thing which you must do before entering the community, before becoming a published author, is that understand the kinds of publishing that exists out there. I mean, and I really mean not just reading about it and checking out the publisher websites or agent websites. I am talking about talking one on one with the authors who have had experience with different kinds of publishing and with different kind of publishers also. If you're thinking about zeroing on one particular publisher, ask the authors who have already published with them how their experience was, what the process is, and whether they are open to communication, whether they will be transparent with you, and whether they are
Mhm.
reliable or not. This really
Yeah.
helps a lot. And I must say that the community of authors that we have, especially in India, it's very open. If you ask them, they are going to tell you. They will not hesitate to give you an honest feedback on their experience. So Reach out to authors who have had, uh, first hand experience. Don't go with hearsay, or don't go with what the publisher website says, or
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
any review out there on Google says. Talk to authors
Because, yeah.
directly. And as I was saying earlier, the kinds of publishing that exist out there, we are not very clear about that unless we enter the field ourselves. So
Yeah.
there is indie publishing, but उसमें भी options है. Like there is self-publishing, yes, of course, but there are
Hmm.
platforms which do not charge you for self-publishing, like Amazon is there, and there are many others who do not charge you a single penny for publishing.
Yes. Hmm.
So study those, and if you feel like going with a vanity publisher, now vanity publisher is somebody who will charge you for publishing you, and
Hmm.
it's not necessary that it's not very profitable in the long term for many people, because you have to understand that you are investing your money. So understand whether in 1 or 2 years, whether that investment is going to come back to you. Are you getting any returns on that investment? Based on that, make it. I'm not against vanity publishing. I'm just saying that
Yes.
try to understand कि जितना तुम invest कर रहे हो publishing में,
Yeah.
whether you are going to get it back or not. Understand that. And then there is a lot of options with partner publishing also. Partner publishing is also a very good option, and there are many publishers who provide that. So reach out to them, understand them, reach out to the authors who have published to them. And of course, there is traditional publishing also, and that's the most lucrative. And despite what everyone says, I have to say that the top five are really approachable. If you have those top five publishers in your mind for your book publishing, reach out to them directly, send them mails. Some of them do reply, and it is possible that if they like your work without an agent, also they might
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course,
Definitely.
if you're someone who's hell bent on going with top publishers only, you can always reach out to an agent. They will help you get.
Hmm. Yeah, those are some great tips. You covered almost everything. Because right now, even though I have only 3 books published, I had a slightly not so flattering experience when I self-published through vanity publishing, I would say. But I'm someone who like to have the control over my books, so it is always better to upload your books yourselves. For those who want to experiment, you can do anything. You can update your manuscript later on, change cover, whatever. So I did try 2 of those, but you covered 3 and 4 more options that I would definitely explore after this live. So yeah, that was lovely answer. Thank you. Very helpful.
I'm glad to be helpful. Now, we come to my favorite part of the live, which is the rapid fire. No, so how this will go is I will ask you one question, then you ask one question. Yeah. Okay. All set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just yes. Okay. My first question to you is fiction versus non-fiction. Your preferred genre as a writer and as a reader.
That's an easy question. I would say fiction every time you ask me that question, even in my sleep. Both as a reader and a writer, I would prefer fiction all the time. No offense to non-fiction, absolutely, because I have read some great non-fiction books like Atomic Habits, Psychology of Money, Think Straight. Recently, I read Master Your Emotions. Absolutely amazing book, but I would rather escape into a fictional world and pretend my life is awesome than reading about real world and freaking out. So I would never turn my back on fiction. So I'll tell you, this year I read 85 books. Only 7 of those are non-fiction.
Wow.
So yeah, always fiction.
Okay, that was an easy one. Your turn.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first question is, you are going on a blind date with a book and all you know is the genre and nothing else. So, what genre would you hope you are going on a blind date
This is very easy. Either a crime thriller or a rom-com. My top favorite.
with? Yeah, definitely. I would
And
agree.
actually, I have been doing that for a while since the pandemic, because I have preferred to go blind, because the reviews sometimes tend to mislead you. I have realized that over a certain period, and some of the books which have been low rated, I have really liked them, and I was surprised
Yeah.
why they have been so criticized, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next question to you is Netflix and chill, reading in or going out? What is it that you are most likely to do on your day off?
I would say all three because in a regular typical day of mine, I love watching sitcoms.
Hmm.
I'm always reading. My Kindle app is on my phone's home screen, so wherever I have a few minutes, I'm waiting in some line or traveling by bus somewhere, or just sitting cluelessly. I open my Kindle app, so I'm most probably I'm reading all the time. And I love to go out to different cafes and try out new food, click some Instagram worthy pictures out there while I'm there if they have good aesthetics. So I would say I do all of it together, and because I go out in different cafes, that is why I was able to create the menu card that I created for Among the Pages Book Cafe. So everything together, I'm mostly an indoors person. So sitcoms and reading books is what I often do. But yeah, I do love to go out once in a while.
Bhakti and Shilpa have clapped for you on reading 85 books this year.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you read so many books, right? You read some 135 books, I believe. That is much. I don't know if I will ever be. Maybe next year I'll give it a shot, at least reaching 100. Let's see.
Yeah, one should read as they are comfortable
Yeah.
with. Even 5 books a year is really good if you have enjoyed it. Yeah.
Even if you're reading 5 books in a year, that still counts as a reader. So
Yeah.
definitely. So my second question to you is, if you are stuck on an island for I would say a week or a month,
Hmm.
what three things you hope you have with you? Because you won't be told
Acha.
beforehand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's an isolated island with no internet connection, then I would say I want. If you are going for a week, then maybe 20 paper bags. If you are going for a year, over 100 paper bags. And if it has good internet connection, I'll be fine. I just want my Kindle.
Yeah.
And maybe send me weekly grocery supplies. I'll take care of my food.
Yeah, I was let's say it has internet connectivity. Everything will be sorted, right?
Yeah.
You can read anything like what else do you need? Yeah.
I have said two things. ना एक और चीज अगर चाहिए तो
Yeah.
one person is fine who can tolerate my any one person from my inner circle will be fine.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. My next question to you is a little interesting. It's going to probably give you the title for your next book. So thing, the last thing that you drank, plus the name of the person you last spoke to, is the title of your next story. What will it be?
Okay. So I drank tea right before our live, and I spoke to my mom. She wished me luck for the live. So I would, and she brewed the tea. So I would say, um, brewing chai with Anjali, that's her name. Or I would say brewing chai and gossip with Anjali, because often my mother and I gossip a lot over a cup of tea. My sister video calls, and then it is just a chaotic discussion. My father sits somewhere in the background rubbing his forehead, wondering when these women are going to stop talking. So that
Oh,
can be a really interesting story actually. I might end up writing it. So yeah, that's what it will be called. Brewing chai and gossip with Anjali. My mother will love it whenever she sees it later
I'm sure
on.
we will also love it. You should start it out as a short story and put it on your blog. I'm sure it will be interesting.
Definitely, that sounds you actually inspired that story. I might as well start writing it today itself.
Wow, I'm really looking
Lovely.
forward to it.
Definitely, me too. I'll send it to you first. That will be super fun writing. My mom will love it. Whenever she watches this video later on, she'll enjoy this conversation. Okay, yeah. So my next question to you is, what are the top three things that keep you sane when you are trying to finish the first draft? For me, it is very tedious finishing the first draft. So I'm often live on chai. I
Hmm.
read a lot. In fact, reading is defense mechanism to stay sane when finishing the first draft. So what are the top three things that work out for you?
So I have only written in romance genre so far. Both my novels are
Mhm.
rom-coms. So what keeps me actually sane is reading books in that genre itself.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
that not only keeps me motivated, it also tells me how I need to go ahead with my own story. So that's one
Mm.
thing. The second is I am somebody who needs constant feedback on the kind of progress that I'm making in the novel. I'm not somebody who will write the first draft and then send it to my beta readers. I am somebody
Oh,
who,
yeah.
yeah, I am somebody who sends it chapter wise. So
That
I
sounds
want,
interesting.
yeah. So their feedback really keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
And it also tells me that they are excited to read further, which means that
Mhm.
whoever reads it for the first time will like it as they go on with the book. So that's
Yeah.
the second thing. And the third thing is, like, just generally, if I'm happy in life, that's a good
Yeah,
place to be. If I'm having a bad day, generally also in my personal life, I won't be able to write.
yeah, I understand. Yeah, lovely.
Okay, my next book to you is also a little. My next question to you is also a little tricky. I'm going to ask you a choice, which is Dreaming Among the Pages versus What Does Your Dad Do? Your
Oh
favorite
my God,
and why?
tricky question. That's a tricky question. Good question though. I would say as a reader, I would pick Dreaming Among the Pages because I love reading fiction. And but as a writer, I would say when I was writing What Does Your Dad Do? I created some amazing memories with my father. The book is all about him, his career, and his our family life in a small town.
Wow.
So it was during lockdown that my father, my mother, and I, my sister, through a video call, we sat together, travel down the memory lane to pull out some great, amazing memories, and I created outline out of it and wrote that book. So writing, I enjoyed writing. What does your dad do? Absolutely. And for Dreaming Among the Pages, I loved creating that fictional lane, rhythm lane, which does not exist. But I picked my favorite area, Kothrood. That's where I was living for 4 years during my engineering. I absolutely adore Kothrood. It's a beautiful area, and I set that fictional lane in Kothrood, and I created characters that I would someday, if they were real, I would love to befriend them, right?
Hmm.
So right, as a writer, I would pick both of the book because I had great journey from the first draft till the editing, cover designing, and everything. But as a reader, I'll go for fiction. I'm biased towards fiction. So yeah.
Okay.
So my next question to you is, what are your top three comfort books?
Top comfort books. Okay. I don't have comfort books. I have comfort. Okay. One comfort series is Harry Potter, of course.
Yeah.
But
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah, I
I
know.
know that. Which book is your favorite out
Of
of
the entire
from this?
series, I think Prisoner of Azkaban, because that's where things are getting, dark, and the children are also growing up. You feel that there's a growth
Yeah.
curve there.
I'm so glad you're a Harry Potter fan. We'll talk about it later on.
Yeah, I am a total Potterhead.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Other than that, I have comfort genres, and I think I already answered that. It's crime thriller or rom com. Give me a good rom com and crime thriller, and I'll be good. I
Definitely.
don't really. Doesn't really matter to me who the author is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've read some great thrillers this year, even though they ruin your sleep in night. But lovely thrillers, romance books, rom-com books, and Harry Potter fantasy books. Lovely, always a comfort read. Yeah.
Okay, my next question to you is again tricky. In fact, maybe even trickier because it's about my books now. uh, I know you have read two of my books. So I'm going to ask you Mindful Musings, Peaceful Ponderings, or Love Triangle. Your favorite. Why?
Oh my God, I would pick both because both has its personality, I would say. For Love Triangle, I read it. I told you, right? I read it during I was traveling a couple of weeks ago. It was my companion throughout the journey. So a fierce female protagonist, flawed main characters, bold dialogues. I always love those kinds of books, and it was super fun. It was fast paced. I would say only 200 pages. That's how long my book is. Also, it's a quick read, right? You can finish it within a weekend or when you're traveling. So I loved Aisha's character. She's super fierce, and women fiction I always love reading. And M2P2 has great poems. So even though I said I'm still going through a few of them. I enjoyed. I told you, right? I love couple of them so much. Give and take, and the Great Fall struck me so hard. It's beautifully written poem. So I would pick both book for different reasons, and I would recommend it to anyone who's looking for a quick read over the weekend. So yeah, both books I would pick.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, your last question.
And yeah, so let's say you're forced to choose a certain time in a day to write your book. You cannot write after that, before that, whatever. So would you pick early morning writing or late night writing? For a month, you cannot switch or whatever.
I have already done this, with my debut novel. I mostly wrote during the night, so I will always choose nighttime because मैं उल्लू हूँ, nocturnal creature. I don't sleep easily very early, so generally I'm awake past midnight anyway every day. So I'm going to
Yeah.
pick nighttime.
Definitely. I would think for some reason your creative juices start flowing
Yeah, yeah,
after midnight. I have done that, randomly waking up and picking up my laptop, and I just start writing. And it's quiet, right? No
yeah,
noise, no
yeah.
external distractions. So it's always better to write in the night time. So glad to know we're on the same page on that.
Yes, I am also so glad. And also, I discovered that you are a Potterhead. We are going to have very long chats about that later on.
What's your house? Have you tried that quiz where they let you know what's your house?
No, I have not, but I am pretty sure I am Hufflepuff. Uh,
Okay, I tried it. I would. Although I knew what to answer to get Gryffindor, so I don't know what I am, but according to the way I answered, I'm Gryffindor, and you know what? I would love it if Ginny Weasley is my dome mate and
yeah,
my best friend.
wow. Oh, yes. Oh, that would be lovely because
Yeah,
yeah, now we are going off on a different tangent. But I just want to say her character arc was really amazing. After the
yeah,
fourth book, the way she
exactly.
turned around
Yeah.
and became a person on her own.
That's
That
why
was
I love her. She was so shy during the first two books, and her crush on Harry is depicted so beautifully. I mean, she adores him, but she's not able to say it out loud. And then she joins the team, and she becomes so fierce. And her character arc is better than Hermione's. No offense to whoever might find it offensive. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my God. We have gone on a different tangent, but this has been such a fun chat. Anybody who has asked us questions, do you have any questions in the chat? No, I think we have a lot of appreciation and hearts and claps coming in. Thank you everyone for such love and support. I am glad you had a good time listening to our conversation. And Rucha, thank you for joining and being such a
Thank you so
wonderful,
much.
wonderful guest. Any parting remarks?
I'm very glad that you chose me as your last live of 2022. This is going to be a highlight of the year for me as well. I had a great time, and the moment you sent me that email after reading my book, and by the way, huge thank you for writing such a beautiful review of my book on your blog page. It was so lovely. Even I thought reading, oh my god, I wrote that. That's what I felt when I read your review. So huge thank you for that. I had great fun talking to you. Great fun knowing you're a Harry Potter fan. Again, this is going to be the thing that connects us both. And
Yes.
I'm looking forward to quickly writing my next book and publishing it and be live with you again in the
Yes.
coming year to discuss more writerly and bookish things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it was really fun.
Let's,
Thank
uh,
you so much
let's
for
keep
having
that goal in mind that we'll write
me.
at least one book this year so we can do this again.
Definitely.
Shilpa,
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful session. All the best to both of you. Thank you so much, Shilpa, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so
This
much.
video will be up on my IGTV and my YouTube channel, so you can always go back. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend and Happy
Thank
New Year in
you.
advance.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Yeah,
Bye.
bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.